This is the brief on the latest episode of the Job Scam Report. So, creator and writer Mark Anthony Dyson gathers a real zero-trust expert panel, Jay Jones the profiler, Ashley Price Horton, and Russ Irby, the HR honey badger, to break down the downright scary rise of AI fraud. First, the old John Cena test, actually trusting what you can see, is totally did. AI video is now so incredibly realistic that candidates might just be interviewing with a scripted AI avatar instead of a real human being. It's gotten to the point where entire professions like stunt work are literally facing total replacement by CGI. Second, companies are completely falling for the bait-and-wait scam. They think they're hiring everyday remote staff, but they're actually onboarding fake employees, often actors from North Korea, believe it or not. These fakes just use the job to gain long-term access to corporate infrastructure and financial accounts before they finally strike. Finally, we all need to be playing aggressive defense. If you get a suspected spam call, hang up immediately. Because if you keep talking, they can easily record you to clone your exact voice. You've also got to verify every single recruiter's email domain against real landing pages and keep a strict log of your applications so you can quickly spot fake follow-up emails. Basically, as AI blurs the line between what's real and fake, successful hiring and job searching now absolutely demands zero-trust verification tactics. In the digital deception era, your skepticism is your best security.
Thank you very much for joining me on the Job Scam Report. This is your boy, Mark. If you want to know more about me and the cast and why I write about job scams, you can go to the Job Scam Report on Substack. And you should be able to find that if you are in the apps for the podcast. Thank you so much for those of you who subscribed and those who paid to subscribe. And for all of you who are just consistent in following the Job Scam Report, reading the articles, listening to podcasts, watching the videos on YouTube and our TikTok. This week's episode of the Job comes from an excerpt from the Job Report LinkedIn Live that I hosted almost 2 weeks ago at this particular point. We get into a great hour of avoiding scams. So we go a little bit deep into what background checks are, and then we talked about ATS. And really, I really believe that if you're more informed about background checks and how they are conducted, then you can avoid this. You know what questions to ask about what people are doing about their background checks when you're having interviews. The one thing I think I found out through this journey as well is that people really stop asking questions at the beginning. And I think it's smooth sailing because they give their trust over. When really myself and the crew are trying to unravel that thinking and get you to think zero trust until everything checks out. From the point of contact by a recruiter to the time that you're hired, even after that, sometimes you may avoid. Now, if you're hired and you're given your personal information, there's still time to save time on what the working end, but you've got to backtrack. That's why you must do your due diligence and ask all the right questions at the beginning. And even during the process, you'll listen to these series of podcasts that are coming up where we're talking more about trust, zero trust, until everything's proven, because we want you to be more strategic and safe in your job search. And therefore, you can go in more well-informed. I hope this episode will be great for you. And if you like it, let me know, comment on it. Let's keep the conversation going. It is still not quite the mainstream take that needs to be, not the warnings that needs to happen, because I'm seeing things every day. My crew and many young people are seeing things every day. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Again, this is the Job Report podcast, and this is Mark Anthony Dyson. How should organizations reconcile the use of AI-driven applicant tracking systems with mounting evidence? These tools, I think, I don't want to dig too deep because that digs deep on the employer end of things. I think for job seekers, they need to understand what parts of this is AI driven and what's not. What do you guys thought? I think that's really more of the question because I think people are getting it wrong that AI is now bouncing out and discounting people. I think that's where a lot of the common thoughts are. Russ, do you have thought about that?
AI boogeyman. I've even posted about this. Companies are using the AI boogeyman not even for just for layoffs, but even applicants for it on the ATS. ATS is applicant tracking system. If you've got 16 employees, Sarah at the front desk is that company's applicant tracking system. She's not AI. She's not disparaging. She's going through applications as they come in. She's a person. Something like Dollar General, 100-some thousand employees, probably, maybe more. Yeah, they use, I forgot which one they use now. I used to work for them. But they have an ATS, and if it's a green posting, you might get 5,000 applicants for that. Every applicant going to be seen? No. Do they have a ranking process? Yes. And sorry, when you get to your 20th applicant or 50th qualified applicant, you're stopping. Is AI involved? Yes. Is AI erasing anyone? No. Do they rank them? Only if you've set it to rank. AI is garbage in, garbage out. I know, I use it all the time. It only does what you tell it to do. If you haven't told it to do that, then it doesn't. And I just talked to a Rippling rep yesterday. They will get it to where you want it. You tell it what you want, and that's what it does. Saying ATS does this, that's like saying people do this. Now, every person is different. It's not a people do this. ATS does nothing unless it's programmed to do it.
That's coming from a current HR director, 25 years ago.
Someone has used over 13 different ATS.
So when it comes
right.
to work
Go ahead.
to Workday, when it comes to Workday AI lawsuit, because that's a really big one, right? What would you say to that? Where there's a alleged court thing happening right now, saying that this AI did discriminate.
We use Workday. That's what I use right now. That doesn't get rid of any of ours. If it did it for that one company, I can't say. But I know ours on every single applicant that applies to where we're at now. I have 6 different HR specialists and that cover different sectors at the college. Every single application is looked at, unless, like I say, you get into the hundreds of that kind of thing. But none of them are discounted. Nothing is automatically erased. Nothing is judged by race. In fact, we can't see race. We can't see age. We can't see any of that. That's all Title VI stuff. It's sent to some kind of clearinghouse that fills out forms for us. So I think people are using the AI boogeyman when there is no boogeyman.
Yeah. How about your experience as a recruiter, Ashley? You could probably even talk to about specifying like knockout questions and things like that to help filter candidates.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I left recruiting right when AI started to become more implemented. Like at the point when I joined, AI was an add-on that you could add to your platform, right? But from a cybersecurity standpoint, we talk about AI bias and discrimination a lot and how important it is to conduct audits on a regular basis of your AI tools, discriminatory policies and processes and what have you. And it does happen in the job market too. Like it may not happen with the company you're at. It may not happen with out of 100 companies, it might happen with 10, right? Are those companies doing their due diligence to make sure that, hey, we're auditing these processes, we're correcting these processes, and we're also providing disclosures on how we're utilizing this AI in this hunting thing? I think there's a lot of secrets about how companies are utilizing it because they don't want to run the risk of lawsuits or things of that nature. At one point, somebody argued me down talking about companies don't use AI for their hiring process. I can see people argued me down who were like, I've been doing this for 20 plus years. And it's, bruh, there's no way we can have a lawsuit. There's no way we can have add-ons if companies aren't utilizing AI. It doesn't make sense. So I will say this to say, it's going to be the responsibility of the company to ensure that their AI processes are addressing discrimination and bias. And if they're using a third party, they have to do their due diligence in conducting how is this AI company handling these situations. Otherwise, they can become responsible for the outcome.
And that's why it's like proving that there's age discrimination, you've got to be doggone sure and have some really good evidence that somebody's being discriminated because of their age, because it's very hard to prove that. And it's very
Yes, it
rare to be
is.
able to prove that. And it's the same way with AI. You got to be doggone sure that AI is actually, you're saying that AI is making a mindless decision without your vetting, which is going to make it more possible to get going back to the fake employee, the fake job candidate. So we're talking about, can AI detect AI? It can, but humans have to be in there to make sure that there are other things follow, like law compliance and company policy, anti-discrimination laws where they may apply and all those things. There's a whole other process we talk about. Now, small companies, we're not speaking to those. We're not talking about the guy who has a company with 8 employees. Of course, he's not going to use ATS. To why in the world would he? Unless, of course, he's getting hundreds of applications, but a lot of them aren't doing. They're barely. Most of them are trying just to get by. I think that more people, they're informed about the hiring process, then they can become a little bit more vigilant, or actually a lot more vigilant about who's fake and who's not. Because if they're trying to hire you quick, then it's a big company. Big companies don't act that way, which kind of
It's
speaks to
good.
behaviors. Go
It's
ahead.
good faith effort. And going back to what Ash was talking about, the lawsuit is going to be hard. Because say
Yeah.
if you got someone like me, I'm going to show that we made a good faith effort that this didn't happen. I'm going to
Mhm.
show, okay, these were our applicants. These ones were from protected class. We had it open for this amount of time to make sure we had this amount of people that applied or could apply. This is what we broadcast it to, which are job boards that anyone can access. So that's all the government is looking for. Did I make a good faith effort to try to make sure there was no discrimination? Now, if the AI discriminated, don't know. Like you said, proving that, ouch. Because if it comes back to my paperwork, I'm going to show I made a good faith effort not to. At that point in time, the government just walks away.
Yeah.
And it's a hard burden of proof on that person at that point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. Kristen brings up a point. She says, if I was in the job market right now, I would be mailing resumes directly to the company or anyone I knew there. Skip the AI. It's not appropriate for judging character. Not necessarily skipping the AI if you're mailing directly to the company, because AI is not making the final decision. In fact, if you really want to get down to the whole science of the thing, AI is doing more than just counting widgets and counting people and discerning who's hireable, who's not. They're also looking at behavior. They want to study, some companies want to study what kind of people are applying to these positions. So they may use the data from the AI to discern that. There's all other things that they may want to try to study to try to make positions better, to make their culture better. Am I on the right track here, Russ?
Yeah, I'm going to get beat up for this. I don't care.
Okay.
If
Go
I
ahead.
got that resume in the mail, unless it's for a high level position, I'm not even going to look at it because it's going to have to apply anyway. I have got to have you in our system to move you to that next level. All right. Because say I have 1,000 people apply. I don't have time to open 1,000 resumes that aren't even in my system because I've also got to go to my system and do it. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not even going to look at that resume because if I do that one, then I have to do them all or I am being biased. Because maybe they're going to say, I seen their name and it was Gonzalez, so I'm being biased because they may be Hispanic. I'm going to my ATS. I'm getting applications from there because those are the people that applied. On my website, it says apply here. So first of all, you didn't follow directions in the first place. I'm not even looking at that resume at that point in time.
Yeah, that's like your first test to see if you follow the instruction. So you can't follow that's something basic. What makes you think you can follow the directives that we need to push here? Go ahead, Ashley.
Like I hire contractors from time to time, and
Uh-huh.
I would get personally frustrated if I get emails with resumes sent to me directly. I'm like, wait a second, I didn't say send it to me here. So now you put me down, you done track me down. I don't know if this resume you sent me is filled with viruses and you want to just take my systems down. So I won't even open it. I won't even
Mm.
open it. And if it comes to my address in the mail, then I might actually respond very differently and not in a good way. But with that being said, though, if you're doing
Mhm.
that with a smaller company, your mom and pop shops and what have you, they may really appreciate you sending that resume like that. And it might be a godsend for them. But keep in mind that with larger companies, they have policies in place for how they handle hiring to avoid potential lawsuits. So don't put them in a predicament where they could potentially be in a lawsuit because you wanted them to have a special treatment towards you. Just something to think about.